This video overview is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be investment advice.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive right into what's happening in the market. It's a pretty interesting time. We're going to look at some really critical levels for the S&P 500, using the SPY of course, and then we'll break down two stocks that are just fascinating right now, Netflix and Micron. All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get the lay of the land, the big picture of where the market's at. Then we're going to zero in on the one level for the SPY that you absolutely have to be watching. After that, we'll get into our two case studies, Netflix and Micron, and then we'll wrap it all up with a quick summary of all the key levels you need to keep on your radar. So where are we right now? Well, the market is really at a crossroads. It's a genuine inflection point. We've just lost a pretty important technical battle, and that's setting the stage for a much, much bigger test, one that could honestly define the next few months.
You know, the first domino just fell, and that was the 681 level on the SPY. That was a really critical floor of support. It had been holding up for a few weeks, but now that we've cracked below it, well, the whole momentum of the market has shifted. This isn't just some minor little dip, folks. This is a pretty powerful signal that the bears are really starting to grab the wheel. Okay, so that brings us to the main event. With 681 now in the rearview mirror, all eyes are turning to one single number, a number that could seriously change everything for the rest of the year.
And that number is 670. I'm not kidding. If there is one level you need to have burned into your brain right now, this is it, 670. This was a major support zone from earlier this year, so what happens right here at this exact price is just absolutely pivotal. It's the ultimate line in the sand, you know? It's what separates a potential recovery from a much, much deeper slide.
So what this really means is we have two very, very different paths forward from this exact point. Path one, we get a strong, decisive bounce off 670. If that happens, it could be the rocket fuel for a big year-end rally. But on the flip side, if we can't hold this level, if we slice right through it, that could open the floodgates for a pretty nasty correction.
And this table here just lays out the stakes perfectly. For the bull case to play out, we need to see a ton of buying volume show up right at 670. If we get that, the first target on the upside is getting back to that 688 level. But if the bears win this fight and we break 670, then we need to look way down to 650 as the next major floor.
All right, let's shift gears now. We've talked about the whole market. Now let's look at our first case study, Netflix. This is a perfect example of a stock that's trying to build a solid base. It's kind of coiling up like a spring, getting ready for a potential move, even with all this uncertainty out there. So what we're seeing with Netflix is a really classic bullish pattern. It's called consolidation. You can see it right here in the structure. The price found its footing, found a bottom, and ever since it's been making a series of higher lows and higher highs. That is textbook stuff, a real sign of building strength. It tells us that buyers are willing to step in at higher and higher prices. The stock is just building pressure, getting ready for a potential pop.
So here are the levels you need to watch. The upside target, if this pattern plays out, is $102. But the whole idea, the entire bullish case, really hinges on the stock holding one key support level, and that critical line in the sand is $93.32. If we see it close below that price, the pattern is broken, and it's probably time to just step aside.
Okay, on to our second case study, Micron Technology. Now this story is all about one thing, an earnings catalyst. Micron has been an absolute superstar this year, no doubt about it. But right now, it's facing a real moment of truth with its latest earnings report, and that could trigger a massive move in either direction.
First off, we just have to take a second and appreciate what a monster year Micron has had. Look at this. It's one of the best performing stocks in the entire S&P 500. We're talking up a staggering 176% just this year. It's been an absolute beast, just riding that huge AI wave all the way up.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Here's the twist. Despite that absolutely incredible run-up, its forward PE ratio is only 11. Now that is remarkably cheap, especially when you think about other AI stocks that are trading at PEs of 25, 30, sometimes way higher. So this gap in valuation, that's the core of the bull argument. It suggests that even after this huge rally, Micron might still have a lot more room to run.
So that all sets up the big question, right? The stock's pulled back about 17% from its recent highs. A pretty classic case of people taking some profits off the table. So is this just a healthy breather before the next leg up? Or is this the start of something worse, a bigger breakdown? The earnings report is probably going to give us the answer.
So the path forward from here is all about one single trigger price, $228.57. For the bulls to take back control, Micron has to get above and stay above that level. If it can do that, the next target is 237. But if it fails, if it can't reclaim that trigger price, then the door's wide open for a move down to the next support level around 208.
All right, let's bring it all home now. We're going to do a real quick recap of all the critical numbers we've just gone over.
Okay, here's your cheat sheet. For the broad market, it's all about SPY at 670. A bounce could take us to 688, a break could send us down to 650. For Netflix, we're watching for a breakout towards 102, but only if it stays above 93.32. And finally, Micron. The magic number is 228.57. That's the pivot that will decide if it's heading for 237 or dropping back to 208.
Look, at the end of the day, these levels give us a really clear roadmap. But now it's all about just watching what the price does when it gets to these key spots. Because as they say, price is truth, and the charts will definitely reveal the path. Thanks for watching this video overview on 15 Minute Investor.